So yesterday I was reading some information on just about bees. I was looking for PDFs. I was really not looking for information on colony collapse disorder. I was actually looking for information on Japanese bees. I was trying to just learn about bees, just devour, and there's something called the horntail bee, the Japanese horn bee, you know, and just all about the different kind of bees out there. I can't remember all the names, but like leaf cutter and blue belly or something. I don't know all the names yet, but looking at pictures and stuff and looking at PDFs, I actually found a PDF on raising Japanese bees in Western style type beehives, and he had some success with it, and that was 1953. Kind of cool little piece of information. So it's been done, so that's kind of cool. Also, I came across this PDF about, colony collapse disorder and started looking at it. It was all about Europe. I shared it, and a graph caught my attention. The graph that caught my attention was the decline of bees, right? That went back as far as 1945, and I'm not sure if that's a mistake because it has 1945 twice. I think that's 1940 and then 1945, right? So between 1940 and 1945, the amount of bees just shot up. Okay, people the war was ending, they were looking for jobs, and you know, beekeeping is a simple thing that people can do, and just got into it. And then by 1950, it peaked. 1950. What was going on at 1950? Well, you know, that's when not the Korean War, but the other war, which recently I found out we actually fought the Chinese. We fought the Chinese. We've gone head to head already with the Chinese. I don't know if you realize. I didn't realize that. Do you know that? In 1950, we were fighting. The Chinese came in. We were in North Korea, and with the UN, right? It was a UN. It wasn't, you know, and America was there. It was part of the UN detachment, and 300,000 Chinese just blitzkrieged them. I was really, you know, taken out by this graph because it just showed the decline. And what caught my attention was like the shape. You see, the shape of the graph, to anyone who is an entrepreneur or understands business growth, matched really similar to the law of diffusion of innovation, which basically means that you're going to have, you know, penetration, significant market penetration, right, of your diffusion of your innovation in the market, and the market's divided up into different segments. And I could look at the map and actually figure out where the different kind of market segments would correspond ultimately, and obviously the bees were measured to that market penetration, the way they were gauged. So if you think about it this way, the more bees you lose means the more pesticide. And that growth, and it's funny because they start giving the numbers to the EPA in 2001. So for 10 years, we didn't even know how much pesticide, you know, the EPA stopped publicizing it. Why? Why would the EPA stop doing that? So I started doing some research. I said, and there was an interesting anomaly, which they say was mites. Mites showed up here. In 1982, basically it crashed. And so I started looking at what was happening in 1982. It dawned on me, well, you know, who was in power there? What offices? And well, guess what? From 1977 to 1981 was Jimmy Carter, and then basically Reagan took over
in December of '81. Carter had implemented the most stringent EPA guidelines. See, what's beautiful, what's great about Carter, most people don't realize, he was implementing the solutions for long-term recovery, right? Solutions that, yes, hit the economy, yes, affected, you know, our growth, and ultimately, as Dennis Meadows talks about, Carter was implementing solutions for complex problems, right? Environmental problems are complex problems. And his solutions were working because he enacted the pesticide control, which restricted the use of pesticides. And in the entire 70 years of beekeeping, that was the only year where there was a bump. There was an increase, right? Because there was a you know, basically it went up. You know, why would it go up and then down with mites? It doesn't make sense, right? Why would it pop? Why would it, you know, if it went, it should just quickly fall down, right? It didn't. It went up a little and then it fell down. Well, who took over next? Reagan took over next, and what happened was Reagan just blitzkrieged everything Carter did. Basically, it was carte blanche for corporations, and you know, and basically the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, was gutted, and since Carter has had no power, it's just become this, you know, this bitch of the corporations. It's all right there. Not only that, you know, you can think about systemic pesticides and everything else, and if you look at kind of what's going on with global economies, you also saw all of a sudden with the collapse of Japan economy, it was going down sharp. And then in the year where the Japanese economy collapsed, between 88 and 9, I mean, it had massive growth, and then 92 it collapsed. I think it was 92 or 9, whatever. The growth of pesticides basically tapered off, and now it's gone slower, because the other thing too is what added to that growth in the 80s was Japan started kicking it in '86, right? In mid '80s. So there was an irony that within the late '80s there was a significant change of oh, the police officer there. He was one of my students too. I recognized him. I used to teach the police academy. So it's all there in one graph. Why the bees have declined in one simple graph. So I was up till 3, kind of mashing it up, and then I wanted to get it out in Japanese. I just copy paste. I was like, you know what? Someone will get upset and want to change it. Maybe we'll read it and want to fix it. That was my thinking, And then someone liked it. I sent it to him, and he was like, why is this all messed up? He said in Japanese. It was really bad. So, he kind of did a translate. I figured out what he said, and I was like, well, because I explained it. But in the process of using Google Translator, I stumbled upon what I call reverse translation method, which is basically the reverse translation method, the found up ways. You grab what you translated, put it back into the system, right? And it re-spits it out. And the reverse translation system, basically you just keep doing that, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until what you want and what it says are the same. It's really that simple. And you tweak it, work it, kind of like massaging it. And then ultimately, there's so much you could do with that, with the reverse, with what Google could do with that. You could have people, they're massaging it ultimately is a way for the computer to learn, right, what they like. And then you rate everything, and then it starts memorizing, and it improves the AI of the translation system. So I've just innovated a whole way to get
perfect translation, right? Using millions of people, and we could have perfect translation, you know, within a year using the system that I've just innovated today, and I put in the Creative Commons called, you know, FOUNDUP way, or the reverse translation system. So you can watch the video on that, but it's really simple, right? And there's so much you can do with it. So it's a pretty significant breakthrough. But the thing that I just applied, I spent the last 3 hours redoing, was actually going back over the document and redoing it. I'll show it to you. Right, here it is down here. I'll just flip it. There it is right there. I redid it and sent it to him, and he and it's all checked out. So like all the translation, it's not exactly what I want, but at least it's not like embarrassing. It's kind of like, it's more like the Japanese English t-shirts, kind of like little mistakes here or there, but they understand the gist of what I'm saying. And now I have a flyer that I can go around, and that's why I'm headed back down to Fukui to actually hand it out and to the prefectural offices. And I want to have her hand her the brochure, right? The Japanese brochure on system pesticides, which needs to be updated. I also want to pick up the list of the beekeepers, which I forgot. So I'm excited. I can now be active in Japan, and I'm not relying on someone translating my stuff. As long as I can write to you now, as long as we can communicate on the computer, I'm good.